Alright, so for this video I'm going to be showing you the optimal usage for Siege in Cyrodiil and the best formation for Siege when you have a small group that is breaking down a door. Now you may think, oh, it's Siege, it should be pretty simple, right? Ballista, projectile, hit door, door, take damage. Well, there's a little bit more to that. There's some intricacies that people are not quite aware of, as I've seen very commonly in Cyrodiil. So I'm going to take the time and go over all of that. If you like this, please share it with your friends or whatever so that people actually know about the differences between Siege and everyone can have a better time in Cyrodiil. So right here I have two ballistae. Yes, the plural term for ballistas is actually ballistae. Might be pronouncing it slightly weirdly. Firebolt ballista and just normal ballista. So one of these is better than the others. Here we have a wall, right? Well, what if I told you that all of the elemental siege weapons do less damage? I hit a door, so it's not going to show. But let's hit the wall. See, that does 2,000 damage. Here's the fire. It does 1,000 damage. So if you are using a fire, ice, or any sort of elemental siege weapon, you are doing less damage to structures. All those elemental weapons, those are for players. If it's all you have on hand, then you can absolutely use a fire, ice, whatever. You can absolutely use it if that's all you have on hand. It's better than nothing, but you are doing less damage than you should be doing. All right, the only type of, I say it in quotes, elemental siege weapon that will do full damage against structures is the Cold Stone Trebuchet. See, it does 4,000 damage to a structure, which is the same amount of damage that a normal stone trebuchet would. If it's not stone trebuchet or normal ballista, it is not going to be doing full damage to structures. So if you're trying to siege down a wall or door, please just use normal siege. It doesn't look as cool, but it works 1,000 times better. Now, we'll move on to the all the other fancy siege and what they do. Alright, we're going to talk about the fire siege. Firebolt ballista and cold fire ballista. Basically the same thing, except cold fire ballista hits a fuck ton harder. And then we have a fire pot treb. Now, trebs usually hit harder because it's harder to hit your target. It has a longer reload time, and it has a longer time for the projectile to actually hit the location. These are completely only to be used against players. As I've mentioned before, they are elemental siege. They will not do full damage against structures, and so these are kind of anti-personnel weapons. Cold fire ballistae are going to be the best. Lancers, probably second best. The only reason I wouldn't say Lancers are the best is because they're just really hard to get, and it's not very economical. But Cold Fire, you can get that by doing Dolems, you can buy them on guild traders. They're pretty easy to get. I would basically never use Firepot Trebs, because it's just, there it goes, it dies, because it sucks. I would basically never use Firepot Trebs because it's so hard to hit your target, unless you're throwing it at a breach. Trebs, the only Treb you should ever pick up are Cold Stone and normal Stone Trebs. Everything else is useless, in my opinion. The Ballistae, Fire Ballistae, are very useful for dealing with anti-personnel, and the other elemental Ballistae are also good for anti-personnel, just shooting at players, but they have different effects, and we'll move on to those effects now. Alright, so the other type of elemental siege we have that isn't a Lancer is the Lightning Ballista. It just snares people, that's it. One of the reasons that the Cold Fire and the Normal Fire Ballista are very good at dealing with players is because of the damage over time effect that you apply. These put on a gnarly snare, and that's about it. This can definitely help, other players to actually siege people down, but that's it. The fire, there is an ice ballista, or ice trebuchet as well, which does virtually the same thing, but does more damage on impact. Otherwise, there is no ice ballista. All you can get for ice damage is the Lancer, but the elemental damage, it doesn't matter as much. If you want to kill players, you want to use fire. All the other types for ballistae or Lancers do not really matter. Moving on, we're going to talk about the catapults, because the catapults are actually really good at dealing with players. So we have oil, scatter shot, and meat bags. Meat bags are, well, meat bags themselves are kind of gross, but the concept of throwing diseased corpses at people was actually a thing in medieval warfare. Now, meat bags themselves, it just says it fires diseased meat at your targets, and that is what it does. It usually is accompanied by a bit of a damage over time effect, but in the past it has also defiled opponents to mess with their healing. remember, disease damage has a chance to apply the Defiled status effect, so if you're dealing with tanks or a ball group that is just healing through a lot of things, then a meat bag is the way to go, because this will mess with their healing while doing a little bit of damage on top. And it usually kind of leaves this just stinky, gross area. So, you know, if anyone walks in there, then they get diseased and they are now gross. They have to take a shower. Moving on to the next type of catapult, which honestly does not deserve much of a mention. It does have its uses, but I would virtually never use this, is the oil catapult. Fires a jar of oil. Oh, oils, you know, the things that burn people to death? No, it ensnares them and drains their stamina, which, you know, it has a use, but if you're trying to kill people, it's generally better to just meat bag and scattershot, which brings us on to the next piece of siege, scattershot. Scattershots are actually really cool. I like the idea of it. I don't know if there's like an actual historical basis for scattershot and its effects, but the effect that it gives is that any person who is hit by it will now have a debuff where they take 20% extra damage. So meat bag plus scattershot plus fire siege. That's going to do a lot of damage to ball groups, cold fire siege in particular. All the other types of siege, while they will have an effect and you will contribute and you will do some damage if you hit them, they kind of pale in comparison. For instance, the lightning and ice siege weapons. A ball group will not be snared because they have someone with 5,000 stam regen whose sole job it is to spam rapid maneuver or some form of cleanse that will remove snares. In the past it was rapid maneuver, I'm not sure if it still does that, but there's also cleanse. Basically, there is someone in the group whose job it is to make sure that no one gets slowed down and left behind. So applying snares is not that big of a deal, which is why the ice and lightning catapults do not matter as much. Even though it is a drain on their resources, they are getting resources from other people in their group through orbs or shards. So you really just want to reduce their healing and increase the damage that they take. So that's where meat bags and scattershot come in. Those are your friends if you're dealing with ball groups. If you want to fight against a ball group, those two are your friends, and then cold fire would be the way to go, or just a normal ballista. That covers all of the non-antiquity stuff. There are also cold fire trebs, but much like the fire pot treb, which I discussed before, I do not recommend it because it is harder to hit your opponent with it, and so at that point you might as well just use a cold fire ballista or a normal fire ballista. Alright, optimal siege placement. First, we want to get close to the door, put a ballista down. I want to put one here. I want to put one here. Put one here. And one here. If you can try to fit another. Then you put a ram back here. And have your group push it forwards. Oh, I fucked that up. Let's get these facing the right direction. There we go. And then you usually want to get someone in the center too. But otherwise, you only need like 1 or 2 people to handle these. So this is 5 ballista. We might be able to fit 6. We've already got the door down to 61%. So we've got Johnny B. Boomstick hitting these other ones. Okay, just got that one, got that one. Great, everyone's manning them. It can be a little tricky to access the ballista that's like right in the middle, where the ram is on top, because the ram is on top of it. But otherwise, this is the optimal formation right here. And then sometimes you can fit another ballista back here, but I don't have enough ballista, and frankly, might be a little overkill. And look at that. This door is almost open in a matter of 2 minutes. If you get a group that knows their shit, this door is in fact going to be open in about 2 minutes. We did a little fucking around. But yeah, that is the strategy for taking any door and busting it down super quickly. If this video has at all been helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, whatever. If you comment, I basically always get back to actual questions. Please share with friends so that they are well educated on how to use Siege, and hopefully that will help make Cyrodiil a better experience for everyone. That is it for me today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.